I'm going to start off beat here. I did not have a chance to go back and look at your background. When your father was bouncing around to different jobs, where you grew up, say high school years, where?
Boston. He was the head coach of the Celtics at the time.
There you go. So you know hockey. Did you become a hockey fan?
You know, it's funny. Actually, I became I don't know if I'm a hockey guy by any means, but a lot of my friends when I was the head coach of Minnesota were NHL players, former NHL players. So the town that I lived in was big with those guys living there, youth hockey. A lot of my friends, or my kids' friends, were NHL guys, so got a lot of respect for what they do.
Did you ever try it? You ever try playing?
No, God, no. I can hardly skate. None of that. But it was big. Like, they would freeze all the tennis courts and ponds and things like that in the town that we lived in. So it was pretty cool.
There you go. You got any thoughts on what's been brewing here? Rivalry, Canada and U.S., and the Canadians are booing our national anthem. There's a lot of heat. I mean, maybe not for the right reasons. The rivalries, heated up here, but rivalry spots are always good in sports.
I texted one of my buddies who's an NHL guy, and I wasn't really sure what exactly the games were because, they're on the All-Star break, right? So I'm assuming I don't know what the significance of the games are, but I saw the fight on Twitter and all that, but I'm pretty confused as to what the games really mean.
Yeah, they're trying to spice up All-Star games, so instead of an All-Star game, they do like hey, let's just go nation to nation and go at it, once every couple of years. It seems like a good idea. I don't know how we're going to fix All-Star games in other sports, but this seems to work in hockey.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. I mean, certainly, hockey culture is amazing. They're the nicest guys in the world, and they're the toughest, meanest guys when they play. So they've got so much pride. I love just the culture of the whole sport. I think every sport can learn a lot from hockey.
Mountain West Conference Tournament's coming up March 9th to the 15th right here in Las Vegas, Thomas and Mack. There's discounts on multiple sessions. You want information on it, get your tickets at themw.com/2025. And Lobos coach Richard Pitino is with us. So, we talk about rivalries around the league. What was the environment like last night at Extra Mile? And we'll get into the game, but what was the environment like in Boise?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I think you think about environments in the Mountain West. I think the Pit, I think the Spectrum, and Viejas probably have separated themselves consistently as the top venues, but then Boise's right there. Leon's done a really, really good job of building a consistent program. I would say there's definitely a football kind of first because of Boise State mentality there, but I think Leon's really worked his butt off to create, a program that's about basketball too. And so they had over 11,000, tough environment. Their team is really, really good. They've got talented guys, tough guys, and it just had the feel of a game. I think we certainly competed, but you could tell Boise needed it to kind of dive back into that NCAA picture best they could, because in our league, as we know, there's only so many opportunities, those quad 1, quad 2 opportunities, and you got to take advantage of them.
Talk about the early part of the second half, because you were close at the half, and then they kind of did a run out there to begin the second half.
A lot of it was free throw line. They were calling it tight on their end. I'm not saying we weren't fouling by any means, but it just seemed like every time if we missed a shot, we were sending them to free throw line, and they did a really, really good job of knocking down free throws. So it's hard on the road when you're swimming upstream with foul trouble and giving them free points, and that's how they were able to pull away. We came back and cut it to 8 a couple times, but it was really, really hard for us to get into a rhythm defensively because we were sending the free throw line almost every possession.
Did you have the kid Peanut Carmichael high on the scout?
We had him on the scout. I mean, he just, he's a good player, young, obviously, but made some big shots, timely shots. He's got size and skill, and, I think for all of us, that's what we're looking for.
It's funny, when I was there with UNLV for the Rebels road game there, they were taking the red shirt off him that night, and there were a lot of media people and some fans were like, what are they doing? Why are they wasting him? I'm like, well, I think he's pretty good, and they need a little infusion of three-point shooting, so obviously he's come around. He's matured, and he had a really big game in that one. Degenhart had a big game. Tell people, I mean, I think people in Vegas know who Tyson Degenhart is. He's tortured the Run Rebels here for a long time, but Why is he so good? Why is a guy who maybe was a little bit under-recruited, at 6'7" or 6'8" and 240, why is he so good?
Well, he stayed the course at Boise. That's the biggest key. Much like maybe a Donovan Dent, for us, or Deon Thomas, obviously, over there at UNLV. Like, guys that stay the course are pretty rare in today's world. And that just is what it is. I'm not criticizing. So he just got a little bit better and better every single year. He could score from three. He's not always on like the low post, so it's not always simple to trap him. You almost got to trap him on the move, and that's where, we sent him to the line, I think 12, 13 times last night, and he's going to knock him down. Very, very good finisher around the rim, plays very good in the pocket, off of ball screens and dives. So I don't think he has a whole lot of weaknesses, and he's just a tough kid who competes every possession.
Coach, for your team, when was it that you knew that you were going to have a really good team this year? Was it, back in the summer? Was it when you first started practicing? Is it a little into the season? Like, at what point you're like, this team can play?
Well, I wasn't really sure because, honestly, we planned for JT Toppin to be back, and JT had put his name in the NBA draft, but we were told that he was going to come back, and at the 11th hour, puts his name in the portal and transfers to Texas Tech. I'm not being critical of him. I mean, he certainly benefited his future in a big way, but it's hard, and everybody's dealing with this, right? So it was just hard. So I didn't know at the power forward spot. I felt really, really good, obviously, about point guard with Donovan Dent. I felt really good about Nelly Jr. Joseph coming back. Mustafa Amzil, who unfortunately has been hurt, didn't play last night. That certainly has affected us. So, and True Washington. So we were able to retain 4 key pieces off an NCAA tournament team. I liked the guys we brought in. I just didn't know a whole lot about them because they're all transfers. So we got a couple of key wins early, whether it was UCLA, USC, VCU. We dropped, obviously, a tough one at home in a rivalry game versus New Mexico State. But then we just went on a run in conference and won 11 in a row. I think we've won 15 of 17 right now. So I'm proud of it because we lost JT. We had a kid signed for a day, and all of a sudden now he's killing it at Wisconsin. And we were able to kind of weather the storm. But that's going to be the new norm, unfortunately, and we're just going to have to deal with it.
You talk about that, and it's not a critique. It's the reality of the situation. Like you're in flux all the time, really, as a coach. How much of a challenge has it been, and is it a learning process every year as a coach to just see where it's going to be and how you can kind of bring a team along, not knowing exactly what the pieces are going to be until the season starts?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because no media member, no fan ever wants to hear a coach complain. But we're the ones that the microphone's being thrown in front of us all the time, and we're trying to give our true, opinion of the situation. Right now, it is as challenging as it's ever been to be a coach. Not necessarily in practice, not even necessarily in the games, but it is very hard to build stability. I am very, very proud of the fact that 2 years ago we went to the NIT, we won 22 games. Last year we won 26. We're at 22 right now. That is really, really challenging just because the rules are set up against us all. But fans don't care. Media doesn't care. Administrations don't care. They just want you to win. So I think we're all trying to do our very, very best to figure it out. You cannot now ever win at the level we're all trying to win at without support, whether that's NIL, rev share moving forward. You just won't win. I mean, it's just the reality of it. So the future is very, very gray for all of us. I think coaches are all talking. And I empathize with the administrators. They're trying to figure it out, too. I don't think anybody's trying to screw anybody over, but it's very, very simple now. If you want to win, you need to invest. And so we're all trying to kind of figure out what that's going to look like moving forward.
It's Richard Pitino, coach of first place in the Mountain West, New Mexico. Are you as amazed as we all are about what's going on at St. John's with this new guy they have on the sidelines?
No, not really. I mean, I think like we just talked about, they've got a great investment. They came at a time where they've got some key supporters who are really, really supporting the program. He's gotten the Garden back to where it's a true home court. I mean, that kind of had gotten away from it a little bit. So he's got those two things. And then he retained, some guys off the team last year, whether it be R.J. Luis, who's probably their best player. Zuby Echefor is a terrific big guy as well. So, he went to St. John's, I really believe, at the right time because, it's essentially a pro job. It's always kind of been that way. And now with the support that he is getting to go along with superb coaching, it's kind of a match made in heaven. So no, I'm not surprised that he's having great success right now.
We had Brian Dutcher on San Diego State about 10 days ago. He said, you guys are the best team. They're just so physical on both ends of the floor. Who do you think is the best team in the conference?
Oh, well, I don't feel that way right now after the way we played in the second half of Boise. But, I think for us, you hate to make excuses, but we are losing a fifth-year starting power forward in Mustafa Amzil. So, I felt like when we had him, certainly we were experienced. We had key guys back from a good team. But I think any of these teams can beat anybody on any given night. Certainly we went on a great run of 8 in a row and sitting obviously at 14-2. But anybody can beat anybody. I mean, I think Boise, you got Degenhart and you got Cardenas. I mean, that's about as good of a 1-2 punch as you get. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. We've obviously got Donovan Dent and Ellie Jr. Joseph, two terrific players. I think San Diego State's always got that culture. They've got length. They've got some really good players as well. Colorado State, Utah State, who I forgot about. I mean, they're maybe the toughest place to play in the league, if not the country. Falstaff's really good. Martinez is really good. So we're all duking it out, and you're going to have to just find a way to win some close games and take care of home court.
You talked about the fact that there is, there's not a ton of, say, quad one opportunities, not the elite teams outside of, basically you guys right now that you see usually in this league. But is there an understanding, do you think, around the country when you talk to people around basketball, you talk to other coaches, of just how unique this league is in terms of the travel, the environments, and even if on paper it doesn't look like the hardest game, it's pretty much a hard game every single night?
Yeah, I don't think they quite understand. I have a family that's all based out of the East Coast, and we play a lot of late games where everybody's asleep, right? So I think the Mountain West, I'm very, very obviously disappointed that it's breaking up. It's breaking up to create an average football conference. I don't really know why they had to do that, but, football obviously drives the bus. But it's disappointing. I mean, since I've been in the league, it's been year one was 4 teams in the tournament. Year 2 was 4 teams. Last year, obviously, was year 6. I think we realistically could get 3. Who knows? Maybe 4 in the tournament this year. So it's a phenomenal basketball conference. There's unique venues. Obviously, the Pit is terrific. Utah State's phenomenal. San Diego State. So there's so many cool things. And we had an opportunity to kind of own the West. And for whatever the reason was, out of my control, obviously, we weren't able to do that because I thought we were building kind of a Big East version in the West. Obviously, we have football, but it is what it is, ever changing. But there are certainly, and then you look at UNLV. Obviously, the landscape in that community has changed as pertains to attending the games, but they've got high aspirations and an unbelievable tradition as well.
Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes. We'll see you here in Vegas for the tournament.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
There he is, Richard Pitino, head coach of New Mexico. He's taken them to the top of the league. He has a lot of support there.